Good weekend, all. I'm Epstein, and here we are with your metal market wrap up, your weekend edition for the Sunday, the 2nd of March, 2025. Well, wow, what a time we're having. You know, you were down $40 on Friday in gold. You're up 32 tonight. Just look at what's going on. There's so much uncertainty about the events over the weekend that people really don't know what to do. It all started, and I'm sure you saw the news conference by now between President Zelensky, President Trump, and J.D. Vance, and the explosion and how things absolutely turned upside down in what should have been a press conference that was a signing and no more than that. And unfortunately, President Zelensky fell into the trap, or just maybe he's just a novice. He should know President Trump by now, and all you do is shake your head and you go, thank you, get your deal done. I am sure his staff knew it. Did you take a look at the ambassador to the U.S. from Ukraine with her head down like this? She knew what was going on. All of us did. You're dealing with an unusual man in Trump. You should know how to work with him in these settings, and he didn't. So invited out of the White House, ran back to Europe. The Europeans are now gathering around and supporting him as they have to. I mean, the fight is on their continent, not ours. There's an ocean between us, as Trump points out. But the reality is Trump wins in one way. Forget how this ends up. The Europeans now realize they've got to spend on their own defense. They can't just rely on the United States. And that was one of the goals that Trump has had in place during his whole campaigning, if you'll recall. And that is now happening. Forget the idea of 2% GDP. I don't know that 3% will do it. I'm thinking it's somewhere between 3 and 5% of national GDP of Europe, NATO members, and so on, in order to defend. If you want the U.S. to be your backstop, it's probably not something you should count on under this particular president. And I think he's said that so much, all right? It's the way the game is. As you can see in the energy markets, they're a little bit of everywhere tonight. On a whole, they're up about 50 points in the Brent and the WTI. Natural gas is down 8 points. I'm surprised it's only down 8. It's very mild weather. Be sure you switch over into the June interest rate futures. That's going to be very important. The dollar down tonight at the expense of most currencies rallying against the dollar. And as you know, the metals are higher, and a very mixed bag in the stock indices. Now, in terms of news, I've already covered some of this for you, but let me get to where we're at. I talked a little bit about crypto. The president wants to make possibly crypto a reserve currency. Whoa. Or a reserve of some type for the U.S. And he's talking about all the big boy ones. They took off. Europe's emergency summit done. And will we see Mexican and Canadian tariffs? They're the first on the block. Will they be at the 25% level? Does either country get a break because he thinks, and he being President Trump, they did enough to not warrant a full tariff? I can't begin to answer. S&P Global is going to release their final February manufacturing sector PMI at 845. Then we get the ISM coming out with their February manufacturing sector index, and construction spending for January at 9 o'clock. Wow. There's a lot to deal with. We're going to cover this all in our free offers. So if you get our newsletters from Linn or my newsletters in there, you want to get them because there's so much to cover. Tonight's newsletter that I wrote, in fact, is more information than I normally do because there was so much to cover on a Sunday. So let's go to the charts and see what we've got. In the gold market, if you were to close just as you are right now, this exact moment, on a monthly basis, which you're not going to, it's the first day of the month, but that would be a new all-time high. You are not there on a weekly chart. You'd have to go back to 2937.60 on a closing basis to be at the all-time high. And from where you're at right now, that's $50 away. It's not a small move. You can see how the market had a huge outside day down. Actually, I said day, outside week down. This is a weekly chart on last week. And what that did is it puts a trade top in place of sorts. So until you take that out, You've given the market a vertical price run that is backing off a little bit finally. Support is way down at $27.39. To get there, that's $150. I don't see that happening. So not seeing that happening, I can see a reaction, but probably a shallower reaction than you would think. What held the market back was you kept hitting the upper Bollinger Band. Markets only stay over that algorithm 5% of the time. So when you start running it like you did here, I teach you that that's called a gorilla glue trade. I love the names, and I think they make sense. I picked Gorilla Glue because of the strength of the glue. And as the market runs, it eventually stops hitting that band and backs away, and it goes into what we call a pause or a correction. Maybe that's beginning right now. If it is, it's often accompanied by the slow stochastic breaking down. Now, breaking down requires the whole number set, and let's get to it if I can here. Whoops. One more. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. Where these numbers are underneath 80. So if you and I come back to February 7th, both numbers were not over 80. They got that way on the 14th. They stayed that way on the 21st. They stayed that way last week. So what this tells me is until the red line closes under 79, it's not there. The odds are the market gets bought on the breaks looking for the higher number. That's what I think is going to happen in the market. And if you close by Friday under 79, then the odds are the market's going to break down. The odds don't favor that because it's so far away, but it can happen. I'm not blind to it. The gold-silver ratio is back up to 91.06. The highest recent high, is 96.37. As you can see back here, you were once even higher than that. In the silver, on a weekly chart, you have a higher lows, higher highs. This is the support zone. But to buy it here under the current formation means you'd have to put a stop under this low. Now, I'll take you to that so you can see it because you don't want to see that pattern broken, and it's right here. Here's the low of 30.0350. Well, to me, that's pretty far away. If you're going to buy the market right here, you're talking a risk of almost $6,000 on a full-size contract. I'm not crazy. That's too much money to risk. Copper, for the short term, is turning down because now the question is copper going to see the tariffs hit them? There's plenty of copper-producing countries. Howard Lutnick is supposed to deliver the program by April 1st, April 2nd to the president. They have to digest it and then see from the countries that we do business with that send us copper, do we put reciprocal tariffs on that copper? For that reason, there's copper shipments coming into the United States as big and as fast as they can do it to avoid those tariffs at this point. In the platinum market, you're back underneath all this. So all this being the 200-day average, the 18, the 100, the bias is down. There is no trend. You had gotten up to the upper Bollinger Bands and completely collapsed from there, and you're sitting here. So are these markets easy right now? Absolutely not. Are they going to be interesting as can be to trade? Without question. Will there be volatility galore? I believe that's going to be the name of the game right now. So take advantage of the free offers that we have. Our videos on Spider ETF, the futures market, our reports. Just go to iraepstein.com, free offers. You sign up there. Up here, there'll be an icon. Give that icon a click, and that'll take you right to that page if you're on a PC. I'm Ira. I'll see you in the other videos tonight, or catch you first thing in the morning as I put out the morning videos. You have a great evening. Catch up with you then.